Well, hello everybody and welcome to the live stream. Happy Friday. I hope your week has been going well. This is a community questions live stream. That's right, community questions from my Design Champions community. I've had some killer questions this week. You've probably had some questions yourself. I've had questions. We all have questions. But these were the best 3 questions from my community this week. I thought it'd be real fun to bring these 3 questions to you guys, hear some of your thoughts on this fine Friday morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever it is that you are coming from. Hey, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that little bell notification icon so you know when live streams like this happen. It'll just come to your inbox. You'll be like, hey, just like Ken and Radic inside of the chat right now saying, hi, Jesse. I say hi right back to you. Hey, make sure you're doing all that kind of fun stuff because we're going to get going here. We got a busy day. Oh boy, do I have a busy day because there's like 3 massive things happening today. Massive thing number 1, we're live streaming today. We're talking to people on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and LinkedIn. What's up, everybody from across the interwebs? Next thing that's happening, and in this live stream, we're going to be answering questions from my community. But what's great is a couple of hours from now, I'm going to be hosting an event, an exclusive event in my community for my Design Champions. You can find the link down in the bio if you want to check it out for a 3-day free trial. But we're going to be talking about AI for creatives. I'm going to be demoing some of my favorite tools, showing some of my workflows that I've established using AI tools, and it's an open discussion right there inside of the community. So that's cool thing number 2 that's happening today before the weekend kicks off. And cool thing number 3 that's actually happening is the fact that I finally, after all of this time, after all of this work, we have finally, guys, launched a very good course for all of you interested in starting your journey into UI and UX design. And you can head over to jesseshowalter.com and you can hit Design Champs for that, or you can just follow the link down in the description. But I have a new self-paced video course over on my Circle platform you can jump into, and it is full of awesomeness. Requirements are nothing. You have to have 0 experience or background for it, and it has lots of great content like what is user-centered design, UI and UX design, user personas, Figma setup. We're going to be building out a capstone project throughout, and we're going to talk about wireframing it, low-res, high-res, prototypes, high-resolution UI design, prototyping in that typography basics, color basics, type, scale, grids, guides, all that kind of fun stuff, as well as a section on career and beyond, building your first portfolio shot with me. So super duper fun. That course is now live and available. You can find the links to all that kind of stuff down in the description. But right now, let's get to our very first question that comes directly from my community. You can see over here in Circle. We moved everything over to Circle. It's way better because here in Circle, you can find all of the posts, all of these awesome questions that the community is asking, an ongoing chat room where people can connect, as well as a bunch of resources, premium stuff, free stuff, and the constant events that we're doing throughout the months. So today's AI for creatives. Next week, we got office hours. In May, we got 3 killer events coming up. So definitely check those out. But these are some of the cool questions that are coming up in my community. This is question number 1. This came from my dear friend, Jason Fang, one of my design champions. Shout out to Jason. He says, I find myself doing design in Figma first and then setting up some styles. Then when coding, I need to apply that same style again, right? Many of these styles are the same. Is there a way to simplify this workflow? Do people actually use plugins like Anima? Answer to that question is yes. People definitely use plugins like Anima. It depends on your development workflow. So this question is a workflow specific question about what do I do as I'm designing styles and all of that stuff inside of Figma. It's the question so many people have. How do we move all of that design goodness, all of that structure, all of those styles over into code? I think a great way to do it, and I'm just going to use Webflow or Wix or like Editor X as an example. You should always, when you're designing inside of Figma or whatever design tool, you should start to build some sort of style system. That means color styles, typographic styles, palettes, even effect styles. You can do that inside of Figma. What does a drop shadow on a card look like? What does the, borders and border radiuses look like? So you're starting to build out this style guide a little bit. It's like style guide, pattern library, design system. You don't have to go all the way to design system. You don't even have to go all the way to pattern library. Really, right somewhere in that style guide scenario is as you move over into something like a Webflow project, you should create a style guide page in any sort of, and I'm a big no-code fan, huge no-code fan, especially if you're developing marketing websites. If you're gonna build that marketing website in a no-code tool, you should be creating a style guide page first, where you lay out your base typography, you lay out your colors and all your variables that are used, you're laying out your hierarchy of your typography, you're plugging all of that in, because in doing so, you're gonna build all those classes, you're gonna build everything first. And so it's transferring the styles from one to another. Then when you start developing your website, it's a breeze because you have all those styles built in. Now, last thing I'll say about this, because this is a stinking great question from my friend Jason, is when we start talking about, is there an easy way to simplify this workflow? Yes, there is. You can start using similar patterns and type scales and styles across multiple projects. That's not cheating. It's not a yucky thing. It's not a bad thing to do, to say, hey, I use, for instance, if you're talking about type scales, I use the golden ratio, or I use a ×2 type scale, or a minor third, 1.215 or whatever it is. I always use that because that's what works great for, website projects that drop down to mobile website projects. So make some personal rules, some internal policies, and then you already have a Figma style guide set up. That's your template file. That's what you start from every time. Now, all of a sudden, when you start a new project, I already have typography. I already have styles. I already have colors. I already have drop shadows. If I need to do anything, I go into the styles in Figma first. I tweak that. And then when I'm going to come over into Webflow or whatever tool I'm using, or Framer, whatever the cool thing is right now, I have that style guide template already set up. All I gotta do is make those few changes, tweak it from pop-ins to enter. Boom, we got a project running, baby. And that's all you have to do. That speeds up that workflow. Okay, so that's a great question. We got people jumping in the chat right now in the community, or excuse me, in the chat right now, asking some more great questions. But really, these questions are privileged questions that come from my community folks, right? Like Radic, you're asking, do I think it would be better to show off my app design as in Behance video, whatnot? Hey, ask that question in the community, right? That's where you get not only my opinion, my thoughts and feedback, but you get thoughts and feedback from everybody. You just got to jump in and consider becoming a design champion, right? My design champions get access to all this kind of cool stuff. Let me just talk, can we talk real quick about some of the other great, we're not going to answer these ones or go over them, but let's talk about safe areas in artboards that my friend Taylor asked the other day. How about working with developers, prototyping videos? Like, this was a really great question we riffed on for a while. Advice for UI and UX newbies. These are all amazing questions that are happening in the community. You can jump on it. The link is down in the description. Let's go to question number 2 from the community. This one came from my homegirl, Nicolette Yates, who is a self-employed Squarespace designer, and she's leveling up into UI design. Here was Nicolette's question. I've written out an email to communicate my changes in pricing and policy, and then I went into detail as to why I'm raising my prices. But now I'm second guessing the detail. What amount of info would you convey? So this is coming from a freelance perspective. We got a lot of freelancers in the community asking similar questions to this, and they're saying, hey, listen, I want to raise my rates. I want to raise my prices. I had to let all my current clients know prices are going up. So I included like an explanation in here. Here's why prices are raising. What was that her question was, is that what amount of info would you have conveyed, Jesse? And my response to this one was, I wouldn't convey very much info at all. Here's the example that I gave actually inside the community was this. Let's say you get an email from one of your favorite streaming services, HBO Max, which is soon to be Max apparently, Netflix, Hulu, you name it. You get an email from them that says, hey, it's going to be an extra $1.50 a month for your subscription to this service that you use every day. As you lay down at the end of the day to relax and watch some Netflix, it's going to go up about $1.50 a month, right? What level of explanation would you think is going to come in that email? Is there going to be like a long paragraph about like inflation and the economy and staffing? And no, it's just going to say we continue to strive to offer a great service at Netflix. Therefore, prices are going up an extra $1.50 like per month. That's all it would say. It would say, this is our policy. Our policy is to serve you well, and prices are going up. Now, whether or not the clients want to stay on board with that service depends on the proven track record of value that's been offered. That's all. So the question is not what do I include in the email to make the price increase okay? It's actually, what have I done in the last 6 to 8 months prior to that email to make people go, oh, still totally worth it. Oh, she could have raised it an extra X amount of dollars and I still would have hung around as a client. So the real question is, what type of value are you offering your clients that when you offer them a price increase, they go, not a problem. I love working with this freelancer. It's totally worth it. Take my money. Because really, I love certain shows on Netflix and certain shows on HBO so much that if they, don't tell them I said this. Don't tell anybody I said this. But if they raised it an extra $3, I'd probably still stick around. $4, I'd probably stick around. Now, I would start hitting a ceiling where if Netflix wrote me an email, said, we're raising your monthly subscription to $50 a month, I'd go, not sure if it's worth it, right? But really, a couple of bucks an hour, right? 25 bucks like in your hourly rate. Is it really going to be so drastic that you need to explain and grovel for approval? No, you justify it through your value. That's the question. Hey, if you like these kinds of questions and answers, we're going to keep doing a lot of these, not every Friday, but a lot of Fridays where we talk about some of these top questions from the community because they're killer questions. So make sure you like, subscribe, hit that little bell notification icon. And again, consider becoming one of my members, one of my design champions, because we do have that really cool event coming up in a couple of hours about AI for creatives. We're going to talk about, of course, we're going to talk about ChatGPT. Of course, we're going to talk about all those tools, but we're also going to talk about DALL-E. We're going to talk about Adobe Firefly. We're going to talk about how you can actually integrate these into your workflows and how you can actually spit out mass amounts of content and creative using the computer to do so. Will it take over the world and become the plotline of Terminator 3 or 2? We don't, of Terminator 1, 2, 3, and the rest of them. I'm not sure. Okay, so we will find out whether or not the computers will take over the world. But for now, let's just look at the last question of the day that's coming from our community. And this one comes from Jessica Janus, who is a humble UX designer and professional organizer. Love that. Stinking awesome. Once we create a project for a client, another freelance question, are we meant to always have access to it, or do we sort of hand the keys, the code, the files, so to speak, once we are done? If so, how do we, can we, is it possible, ensure that the project continues to reflect the work that we did and not have something in our portfolio, for example, end up having mistakes that someone else did after the fact? What is Jessica talking about? Jessica's talking about the fact that when you finish a freelance project and you hand the files over, quite often the client will take that website, will take that design, and they'll go, you know what, I think I just want to tweak it a little bit. And they just kind of jack things up, right? It's like a car coming off the production line and me deciding that the fenders don't go there. They should probably live on the roof, right? That's my choice to make because you handed the keys over to me, right? And as creatives, we can't always stop or prevent what other people do. There are some guidelines, some handrails, some safeties we can put in place. Like for instance, we can hand off things, again, not to talk about Webflow too much, but I do love it as a tool. If you hand off a Webflow site or any site built on a content management system, a lot of times there's ways to protect the site from being manipulated, the layout, the actual code of it. Instead, you just open up certain editable spots. Even then, though, let's say you had a headline and some body copy inside of a big homepage hero, right? Oh, it looks so beautiful. The headline's like 2 lines, and you got this nice little 3-line paragraph body copy below with a little button or a call to action. It's beautiful. It's exactly how it's supposed to be. And the client comes in and goes, I think I want that headline to be 50 lines long. They can do it potentially, unless you've really drilled down and governed that thing so it can't. But how do we prevent it? Well, you can try to implement some protections on whatever site you hand off. Number 2, you can always have the original version saved as a separate file, as a separate, like put on a separate staging server, and that can live there. One thing that's very impressive inside of your portfolio is to have live links. Okay. Now it's great to say, I just finished this project and launched it for whatever client. Click on the link to see it live on the web. They click on it and it looks beautiful. But as the client starts tweaking with it, messing with it, the years go by and it deteriorates, that link starts to become not as impressive. You can switch that link up and go back to the original version that was on your staging server if you want to keep it. You can always go back to the original design files, but this is a great reminder for all of us to document, because Murphy's Law states anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And so make sure you document what you are proud of, the work in the state in which you would want it to represent you and your style of work. Make sure you document that, because you may never get it back. It's true. We hand things off. We let the baby bird fly out of the nest, and sometimes the baby bird falls into the canyon and it's eaten by an eagle. And that's really, really sad. But other times the bird may fly and flourish, but you never know. So take a picture of that bird before you push it out of the nest. That's all I'm saying. That metaphor was gruesome, and I apologize, but it's Friday. You know what I'm saying? Selly X23 says, hi Jesse, just started following you and going through those XD tutorials. Love all the work you do. No question, just appreciation. Selly X23, I appreciate you. I appreciate the encouragement, and I hope that anything I do can help you in some kind of way. That's it. These are the top 3 questions of the community. Again, if you're interested in some of these questions, you want to ask more questions like this, consider becoming one of my design champions. You can jump into the community and you can ask those questions. You can show your work, get feedback on your work. We have exclusive posts inside of here that I post, as well as other members. So you can jump into all of that, as well as all the cool events. But again, make sure that you're checking it out. You can go over and check out my brand new course that launched. It's the Intro to UI and UX Design course, 0 to Hero. Time for you to jump in and start making some headway in your UI UX design career. This is the course for you if you want to learn from the ground up. Got all that stuff going for you. Hey, that's it, folks. Thank you so much for joining me on this very short live stream. Top 3 questions from the community on this fine Friday. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and you guys are amazing. Enjoy your Friday. Work hard. Get some rest this weekend, and we'll get back to it next week. We'll see you soon.